Hey kid, how was school today?
It was good. I aced my math test. So.
You did?
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. What are you doing?
I am working on my podcast right now.
What's it about this week?
This week, we're actually exploring faith.
Is faith like trust?
It is like trust.
Like a trust fall?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like trust falls. Why do you like trust falls so much?
Because I like being scared, but like knowing I'm safe.
So it's like you feel like you don't know what's going to happen, but secretly you do know what's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's kind of like what faith is for people. It's not knowing, but trusting that they're going to be safe in the end. There's a snack in the kitchen. Please just put it in a bowl, okay?
Fine.
Hey everyone, my name is Monique DeBose, and this is the More with Monique podcast. I'm a singer, writer, and spiritual coach, and my passion in life is to inspire women to choose more for themselves. I started this podcast to shine a light on the stories of real women who in really big ways and gentle smaller ways have chosen more for themselves. Today's episode is all about choosing more faith. Faith means different things to different people. Some of us have it and some of us don't. I think faith is something you believe in without needing any proof. And I'm not just talking about it from a spiritual perspective. Faith and trust are similar. Faith is something we have. Trust is something we do. My first guest is Angela Tennison. She is an inspiration. She's the founder of the Global Legacy Institute, and she also helps organizations have courageous conversations about race. She was also the first African-American woman to serve as an usher in the White House residence. And today she's going to tell us how faith helped her get there.
Hi, my name is Angela, and I choose more faith.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi, Monique. So great to be here with you.
Thank you. And today we're talking about faith, which is something that I've desperately wanted my whole life and struggled to really find. So I'm so happy to talk with you because it's such a powerful force in your world. So let's start with, what does faith mean to you?
I remember as a little girl, I grew up in South Carolina, so I say I'm Southern Baptist. And the scripture, Hebrews 11:1, that was one of the few scriptures that I learned at a very early age. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. And it has come to serve me in many ways going forward in my life. For me, faith is a grounding force in knowing, even though you don't know what's to come. But it's a deep belief and a trust that whatever is to come is for you and only you.
And even as you say it and how you say it, I can feel my body relaxing because I think I'm sensing just that faith and that knowing that exists in you as you share that. Thank you. You just sharing that piece helped activate some faith in me. That's really great. So did you always have faith?
I think it was instilled in me at a very early age. And I watched my mom, who is deeply religious, pray and understand that the desires of your heart could come to pass and hard situations that you couldn't see working out, work out. And definitely that was attributed to her faith in God. I'm pretty sure that witnessing that at an early age became a part of my DNA.
So talk to me about Obama and the 44th president's administration and your part in that and how faith played a part for you in that.
So I was watching, like most Americans, this Black man running for president gain momentum. And when he won Iowa, I was still on the sofa, but I cried and I couldn't believe that he won, although I believed he should have won. And I believed that he was the best person for the job. Then he went on to New Hampshire and he lost. And I watched from my couch and cried in disappointment that he lost. And at his speech, he said, and we're taking this message of hope all across America. And he starts naming out the next primary state, which South Carolina. And I lived in North Carolina at the time. I'm originally from South Carolina. I know South Carolina very well. And I thought, oh, well, I can go help.
Mm-hmm.
And I started volunteering so much that I was taking off from work to volunteer, which obviously is unsustainable. And I volunteered and would ask questions to learn because I was in the finance world, not in politics at all. Always had a political conscience, but not into that world.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the attention of a campaign worker who called and asked me to join the campaign as paid staff. And I thought, oh, well, what is that? Nights and weekends? You know, how many hours of that is that? And she's like, oh, no, it's pretty full time. And I was like, but I have a full time job. And she said, oh, no, you'll need to leave that. And I told her I need to call her back. And in the time that it took me to call her back, I thought about what should I do? I asked a few people and they were like, absolutely not. He's never going to win. Because we take for granted now that a Black man has been president for 8 years in America. Before him, it had never happened.
Right.
Not even close. And for me, I had one person to say, go do it. And I thought about my niece who was just born a couple months ago at the time. And I thought about what would it look like for her in a whole generation? What would it mean to them to see someone that looked like them, a Black man, be president? And I also thought about the people in the civil rights movement, the faith that they had for this moment that they were working for, that this day would come. And I thought about what I could do if I took the baton and ran my leg of the race. And the final question was, for me, wasn't, could he win? What if he didn't win? For me was, if he didn't win and I hadn't done all I could to help him, how was I going to reconcile that?
That's a powerful question. So where does faith come in to you making that choice to walk away from your job?
There had been many other challenging moments that I couldn't see the other side. And my faith helped me get to the other side. And so this was yet another one of those moments where when I didn't have a good answer to how could I reconcile not doing all I could, I had to lean on my faith to get me through the unknown because I'd never done this before. And I knew that I couldn't not do it. So I'd been taking the new members class at church. All the while, I think as my faith walk would have me, I was close to God so that I could hear the voice of God. And that voice told me that I would be okay.
In you knowing and trusting and leaning in, as you say, on your faith.
Yes.
What does it mean for you to lean in on your faith?
In that question, I hear my mom saying, lean not on your own understanding. And it's knowing that I don't have all the answers and allowing space for something greater than me to provide the answers.
There must be some real peace in having faith.
It's a muscle, I think, to remember. Because I still struggle with it. And I know that I can go take a long shower and say, hey, I don't have the answers. Help. And something usually comes.
I get that. Did you have faith that Barack Obama would become president? Or was it more you had faith that you would be taken care of stepping out to follow this mission that came forward to you?
People would joke and say we were all drinking the Kool-Aid, those of us that were on there. But I really believed it was possible. And I believed that it was the best chance. It was the best time. And he was the best candidate.
So fast forward me to working in DC and you're on a friend's couch.
Yes.
And how does the job actually show up?
The friend was like, oh, we're looking for people at the job. And it was an academic advisor job. And the sad part about it, I think I ended up taking her job. But she ended up moving. So I thought I at least had one person there, and she ended up leaving. That was August of 2009.
So he'd been a president for 8 months already, or 7 months.
Yeah. And some people wrote it all the way to the White House. It took a little bit of time for it to process to me that was possible for me. So I thought I heard that I should go try and figure it out. Take one step, another step opens up, and figure that out. But after a few months, I was starting to put gas and groceries on a credit card, and that was filling up pretty quickly. And so I started to think, well, maybe I didn't hear so clearly. Mm-hmm. It got super cold. Snowmageddon. The coldest winter since the 1920s was the year I moved. And I'm a Carolina girl trying to go south. And I remember being at work one day thinking, how am I going to move back? Where am I going to go? I have no more money. My phone got stolen. So I had to get an old phone shipped to me, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Things started just downward spiraling. Now, the phone had been ringing with this unknown number. And I was like, it's the bill collector. I've got no money. Don't call me. I'll call you. But this particular time where I'm just in my cube thinking, am I going to go back to my mom's house? Is there a friend I can go stay with to figure things out? And the phone starts to ring again. And there was a voice that said, pick up the phone, fool. Literally. And I'm like, hello, hello, hello. And the voice on the other end said, hi, Angela. It's like, yes. It's like, this is Paulette from the White House. And I thought, oh my God. And she said, I've been trying to get in touch with you. So I had ignored this call from the White House multiple times, but it doesn't say the White House, right? Mm-hmm. And the White House doesn't leave messages. So I felt a sigh of relief.
Had you lost faith during that time?
I think I was on the border. I was like, I heard it wrong. But I think that is the thing about faith. You get right to the end. Mm-hmm. And when you can't hold on any longer, hold on one more second longer. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I was at my wit's end, really. Like I said, I was starting to plan, figure out how to get back. But I still was going to church. I still was engaged in my faith. And I do believe that the voice I heard was a voice of God. I think he has a good sense of humor.
Pick up the phone, fool. So you became the first African-American woman to be an usher at the White House residence. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Can we just celebrate that? That's huge. You've made history. In the history books, when people start looking for who was the first African-American woman, they're going to see Angela Tennison, which is amazing.
Yes. And if it's 2000 something that we're still making firsts, it's a bit bittersweet.
I hear that. That's where I struggle with my own faith of, is this world inherently good? Can we really just celebrate the good as well as acknowledge all that needs to still be done? And I struggle with that piece sometimes. And in this moment, I'm celebrating that you have made history. Maybe it's not at the timeline we like, but the fact still remains the same. You've made history. I have really enjoyed talking to you about all things faith, and you've really inspired me to be more willing to lean in to my faith. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having the faith in me.
Hey, it's Monique here. I'm still putting the finishing touches on my new album, You Are the Sovereign One, but I wanted to share a preview of my new single, Brown Beauty, which is now officially out in the world. You can stream it on any platform, and you can also check out the video on YouTube, which I made from images supplied by many beautiful women who tagged me on social media using the hashtag Brown Beauty. If you want to check out more of my music and my world, make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at I am Monique DeBose.
Take a look at yourself. See the queen that I see. You have everything you've ever needed. No one can touch what you've got. Brown beauty, brown beauty, brown beauty.
Hi, I'm Monique DeBose, and this is More with Monique. My next guest is Dr. Annette Moore. She's a board-certified OBGYN, a devoted wife and mother, and a woman who really cares about the well-being of other women. She's one of my best friends in the world, and today she is here to share the amazing story of giving birth to her daughter, Anaya, and how faith guided her and continues to guide her to this day.
My name is Annette, and I choose more faith.
Hi, Annette.
Hi, Mom.
So, Annette, today we're talking about more faith. And when I think about people in my life who really express a working belief and faith, I think about you. And I wanted to ask you to share your story of giving birth to your second beautiful child.
Anaya is my second child. She was born in December of 2015. She is my continued gift and blessing in this world. My other children are too, but Anaya has a special place in my heart because when she was born, she was given a very poor prognosis on her life expectancy.
Why was she given a poor prognosis on her life expectancy? What were they saying?
She was born with a condition called trisomy 18, which only about 10% of babies with that condition will survive to the first year of life. And those that survive to the first year of life, probably less than 1% will live past that. And so it is a condition that doctors have sometimes deemed incompatible with life.
How does having life mean you're incompatible with life?
It means a bunch of things, but really it means nothing because some doctors will use that term to decide how a patient or how a baby should be treated when they're born, what resources they should have to support their life, and what resources they should not have. And so I didn't have the best prenatal care. During that time, I just finished medical school in 2005. I was moving from Washington, D.C., from where I finished medical school, and I was going down to New Orleans, where I was going to start my residency training, which was going to be 4 years at Tulane. We had planned to have a second child because we wanted them to be a couple years apart. But Anaya honestly was kind of a surprise. I just didn't think I would be pregnant that soon. But I was like, oh, okay, we're pregnant. Let's roll with it. So while I was in medical school in the last few months, I didn't have health insurance. Mm-hmm. And so then when I moved down to New Orleans, I never had time to go see a doctor because I was starting my residency program. And then finally, I saw a doctor when I was probably like 16 weeks.
You knew you were pregnant, but you just didn't have time to go see a doctor.
And also, I was starting a new program and I didn't want to kind of tell people that I was pregnant. I didn't want them to like kick me out or think I was like some kind of loser that comes to residency pregnant. Like, who does that?
Isn't that crazy that you even have to think about that? That makes me so mad in itself. Like, you're trying to start the next stage of your life, and being a woman with child is something you have to factor into that.
Yeah. For sure. But then my program was amazing. The director was like, are you pregnant? I was like, yes. I was green. I was so nauseous with Anaya and my pregnancy. And she pulled me aside and asked me, and she was like, well, who's the doctor that's taking care of you? And I was like, I don't have one. She was like, what? You know, you're an OBGYN. And I was like, yeah, I know. So she graciously assigned me to her clinic, and I got to see her in her private office, and she evaluated me at that time. The thing about the initial evaluation was that Anaya measured small from the very beginning. She was already about 4 weeks behind on the very first appointment, leading my doctor to think that I had a miscalculation of my dates of when my last menstrual period was when I conceived Anaya. But she wanted to change the gestational age of Anaya based on the ultrasound. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea because I'm really certain about my period. And she's like, okay, well then we really need to get you in for testing for genetic abnormalities, just a standard test that we do for every pregnant woman.
Take me to further along in the pregnancy.
So by the time I got down to New Orleans, I was like 16 weeks pregnant. And it's significant because in 2 weeks after that appointment, the first appointment with my doctor, I was supposed to go and get my antenatal screening test done, which is a genetic abnormality test that is available. And what happened was Hurricane Katrina happened. And so I missed my appointment. And so we ended up in Texas. We evacuated to Houston. We were in Houston for about 3 weeks. So it was like 18 weeks. Basically, you can't get the test done after 21 weeks. And I had achieved 21 weeks in 1 day. And so I was too late for the test. And so I finally figured out where my husband's family, because all of his family was dispersed and it was just chaotic for us.
Right.
And we finally were settled. And I said, I got to get in and see a doctor because I was supposed to get all this testing done. And so I went and saw a doctor in Houston and he scanned me. The baby still was measuring behind, but this time by 3 weeks. And I'm already in the middle of the second trimester. So it wasn't really significant. They weren't really too concerned about it. And I said, well, can I get an amniocentesis, which is a genetic abnormality test where they draw fluid from your uterine cavity. And this has the baby's DNA in it, and they could test it to see if there's any abnormality. And the reason why this was important to me was because, one, the baby was measuring small, but I kept having recurrent dreams of a genetic abnormal baby. I thought it was Down syndrome that I was seeing in my dreams. We went to the doctor and the doctor told me that he didn't think I needed an amniocentesis, that I was kind of a hypochondriac. All doctors have small babies and I need to calm down. I ended up walking out of the doctor's appointment and I remember a knowing came over me that my child had a genetic abnormality. It was just very clear to me. So I stopped in my tracks and I was like, Lord, if this is what it is, can you please just give me the strength to help me deal with it and also to help my husband deal with it, because he was going through a lot of stressors after Katrina because his favorite aunt who had raised him had passed away. His family was all dispersed and everybody was out of New Orleans. It was a very challenging time. I feel like God speaks to me in this way. He lets me know, be prepared, be ready.
Take me to giving birth and what happened and transpired. I just feel like that's so important on so many levels.
I didn't really tell anybody about my fears about what was coming for Anaya. And I honestly was comforted by trisomy 21 because that's Down syndrome. And I was thinking, well, at least it's not trisomy 18 or 13 because those babies don't live. And so I was like, we're going to have some different challenges. I didn't know how to approach it with my husband because he was dealing with so much trauma.
He was in mourning. Yeah.
Serious mourning. So what I did was I called my mom and I told her what I was worried about. I told her there's something wrong with my baby. And I don't know what the something is, but there's something wrong. And my mom was like, no worries, I'm on my way. And so she literally got on the plane. And I was so thankful. So she was there for the last few weeks of the pregnancy. I was being monitored twice a week and doing the monitoring of the baby. The baby was never reactive. It didn't have the appropriate accelerations in the heart rate. The baby was very neurologically not right. And that's what the monitoring is. It's checking the baby's neurologic intactness. And hers was never right. And they kept giving me excuses. Well, it's because you don't eat breakfast in the morning. That's why.
I guess your charts didn't follow you from New Orleans.
No.
Because you never had those tests.
I had one visit, yeah. And I only had the one visit. I didn't have any testing. So when I went to Houston, now let me tell you, Houston is the place where the top MFMs in the country, maternal fetal medicines, are. They do the research that we study from. I was getting ultrasounds by the people who wrote the book that I was mandated to read. And they missed all of the markers for Anaya's condition.
It sounds like they also made excuses or tried to push away. What do you think about that?
When I look back on it, I feel like somebody on purpose put blinders on them. And I will give them grace because they had blinders on every single step. I had 10 different ultrasounds for Anaya while I was in Houston. I even had a fetal echo where they were specifically looking at her heart. They missed all the holes in her heart. She has 2 holes in her heart. They missed her fists were clenched during every ultrasound. I even have these pictures in her baby book. Her feet are kind of rocker bottom like this. And they missed that too on every scan. They told me doctors always think that the worst thing is going on. And I was like, okay. And then she started having decelerations in her heart rate, which is not a good sign. And so they decided just randomly on one morning that they were going to do a C-section because she was breech. And so they did. They took me in for the C-section. It was a terrible surgery. Like all the things went wrong, but they showed me the baby after they got her out. It took them a long time to get her out because the position she was in. They had to tee my uterus up and I could never have another vaginal delivery after that. And I was like, what the hell? So, and I was bleeding. Like I saw my blood in the canister and I was like, I'm bleeding way too much. My husband was like, oh, you're making too much of it. Everything's fine. Look, the doctors are very calm. Why are you freaking out? I was like, I'm just telling you, I shouldn't have this much blood in the canister and they should already have the baby out. There's a problem. So they finally got her out and they showed her to me. And it was so clear to me that she was tiny. She was 3 pounds, 4 ounces. Mm-hmm. And her face was abnormal. She has a very small mouth, a very small chin. And I was like, oh, that does not look like Down syndrome. And then I really didn't focus on the baby anymore after that because I had terrible anesthesia and I was in a lot of pain. And maybe like 12 to 18 hours had gone by and I was on this PCA pump because I was in so much pain. And then finally, one moment I woke up and my mom like grabbed the PCA pump from me because this is how I'm administering the drugs for my pain. Mm-hmm. And she grabbed it from me and she was like, hey, you need to wake up. These people are saying something's wrong with your baby. And I don't know what they're talking about. They're speaking all that doctor stuff. I don't know what they're saying. Okay. But you need to wake up. And I was like, huh? She's like, you need to talk to these people. They're saying something's wrong with the baby. So she got the NICU doctor on the phone. And the doctor just said, yeah, we believe your baby has a condition that's not compatible with life. You need to come up here and see your baby because we've already called the minister and he's going to pray over the baby and give the baby last rites. Which kind of minister would you like? So they put me in a wheelchair. I rolled up to the NICU and I walked into this room where it was so loud in there. And the baby was laying there on the isolate, like struggling for every breath. Her whole body was like caving in with every time she breathed. And I'm trying to assess everything, but things don't seem clear. I couldn't really make a clear picture of what was happening. But Chuck was there. He was leaning over the side of the isolate, like crying. The minister was there praying. And there was a big like sign to me that seemed like it was in neon lights. And it said, DNR, do not resuscitate. And I said, what's going on? Who agreed to that? I don't want that.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Let that out if you need to.
I was like, I don't agree with the DNR. I don't want that. And he said, that's not your choice. It's not your decision. 2 doctors have decided that this will be a futile effort and we will not be using our resources in this manner. And I said, why don't you want to help her? And they said, she's incompatible with life. You're a doctor. You know what that means. Her time here is going to be short. Mm-hmm. And I said, how do you know that?
How did you keep your faith in that moment when you have people right in your face telling you, we're not going to help your child? How did you keep your faith to know that there is a God or that there is something to believe in?
You know, I don't know, Monique, because the thing is that I just kept getting this feeling that I needed to fight for her. And I didn't even know what I was saying. Like things would just come to me to say. And I felt like that was God, right? He was like, I told you I have you and I'm guiding you here.
When did you go home with Anaya? How old is Anaya when you go home?
She's 4 weeks and 2 days.
4 weeks and 2 days. And how old is Anaya today?
Well, she's 15. She'll be 16 in December.
So for 15 years, this baby that had a 1% chance of living after age 1 and a 20% chance of living within the first year is 15 going on 16. And how is your faith today? And is it strengthened by this miracle child that you have?
My faith is strong. But what I would tell you is faith doesn't erase fear. And I don't think that your faith can be measured by the amount of fear that you have. Like some people think if you have faith, then you shouldn't have any fear. And I would say that that is not true. I believe that my faith in God around Anaya, and actually around all of my children, is that he will care for them, but also when it's time for them to go, they will go. And there's nothing I can do. There's nothing anybody can do. And I even told the doctors, you don't know how long God has planned for Anaya. You can tell me your numbers and all of those things, but you cannot guarantee me when her day will come. You don't know that. Only he knows that. And I fought valiantly for Anaya. I will continue to fight every single day for her because doctors don't know what God's plan is. And I don't know even, but I do know that I have been blessed immeasurably by the presence of this child in my life. And she has taught me strength that I didn't know I possibly could ever have. And I'm a better human because of Anaya.
I feel like you've inspired me even beyond. And I know some of these, I didn't know all these details. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for giving me the space to share it.
Hi, it's Monique again. As today's episode is all about faith, I want to share a snippet of a song from my new album, You Are the Sovereign One, out August 27th. This song, Invisible, speaks from the perspective of that wise inner wisdom that is always guiding you, saying no matter what, I'm always with you. For more conversations about faith, as well as a host of other inspiring discussions, be sure to join the Women Choosing More group on Facebook. I'll meet you there.
Maybe I want you. Maybe I need you. Maybe I see you. I believe in you. In your eyes, fireworks blow away the 4th of July. In your eyes, 1,000 of witnessing their first sunrise.
It's time now for the Choose More Minute. Let's talk about ways we can create more opportunities to experience faith. For some of us, faith is easy, and for others, it's a muscle we have to build. One way to build that muscle is to take stock. Take a look at what you have faith in already. What are 5 things you have faith in now? The sun rising? Your children? A best friend? List out 5 things. And after you've written them down, express some gratitude for each one. Express gratitude for the fact that you can believe in something. Build the muscle. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you all next week. I love you. Our producers are Larry Carlat and Hannah Randall. Administration by Angela York. Today's episode was edited and mixed by Ronnie Mickelson, and our theme song, More, was written by yours truly. Hope you have a great week, and remember to
Be the woman that you know you are. Don't you settle, girl, travel far. Let's use more. Let's use more. Let's choose more. I have faith. I have faith. Faith.